Hi everyone, this is Community Action Now. I am, of course, your host, Bryn Schimmel, and this is your place for all things community related here in the metro area. It is June 2022. Summer is finally getting in full swing around here. There is a ton of stuff going on in the area, so make sure that you're keeping an eye on things that are happening and getting out and about this summer to enjoy everything that Omaha has to offer. Today I have, for this first half of the show, my friend Michele Magner, and she is with a company called Inspired Senior. And we're going to talk more about that later, but first, welcome, Michele. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about you first, your background.
Yeah, I'll give you the thin slice. I actually was born in Manhattan, New York, and I moved from Brooklyn Heights, New York to Berkeley, California.
Wow,
so
all the way across.
Grew up in both coasts.
Okay.
And then moved to Iowa to go to college.
Okay.
So that's how I landed in the middle.
Yeah.
My people are from the Midwest,
Okay.
Kansas, Iowa. And after attending Graceland University in Lamoni, Iowa, went to Kansas City, met my husband. We lived there for 14 years, and during that time period, I helped take care of both of my grandmothers. So I did everything with them, from talking about car keys and is it time to stop driving, transitioning to senior living, helping them with all of their health and financial affairs, and then through end-of-life care. So that was, we're building our family, and I'm helping take care of my grandmas.
Yeah.
And then after 14 years in that area, we moved here to Papillion, so that we could help be of a support to my in-laws.
Okay.
And have been in the Omaha area for 11 years and just love it here. It's been such a great place to raise our family.
Good, that's awesome. So what did you go to school for? Was it your intention to kind of end up in this kind of field of aging and geriatrics and life care?
Right. I actually attended school wanting to be a social worker,
Okay.
but shifted to a business degree and got my degree in business, and actually went on to earn a master's degree in business, so I have an MBA as well. And it was when I was taking care of both of my grandmothers and just being in the senior living environments, I realized how much I loved seniors, and obviously as a family caregiver, it really started to open my eyes to the services that people need to be of support as they are helping their aging parents and grandparents. So I ended up moving into the senior living, not moving into a senior living building, but stepping into that industry as a career. And I spent 7 years working in an assisted living memory care and then a skilled nursing facility. So it really was just my affinity for seniors and their wisdom and stories that led me to my career in senior living. And then I discovered that I am a lifelong learner, and found out that UNO has a program in gerontology, and it's a master's program. I think they also have an undergrad degree in that as well. So I went back and started working on my master's degree in gerontology.
Okay.
Became a certified dementia practitioner, so
Okay.
I am trained in best practices for interacting and communicating with people who have the symptom of dementia, and then I'm also a certified life coach.
Okay.
I do love learning, Bryn.
That's fantastic. So at what point did you transition into creating your own business, which is Inspired Senior?
I would say the last couple of years during the pandemic was the opportunity for me to take all of my life experience, professional experience, and then the education that I had been participating in and put it together into this program. And really having that experience of being in a nursing home during the pandemic and realizing how much support families need, I just felt like this was the missing piece to offer resources for families to help them manage their thought processes around everything in relation to their parents. It's just really hard. Every phase of this journey is super challenging.
Yeah.
When you start to realize that something's going on with your folks, or whoever in your family. And I wanted to produce something and create something that would help fill in that gap of services that's offered. So that's where Inspired Senior came to be.
And what exactly are the services that Inspired Senior offers?
I have developed a 12-week program. It's a group coaching program, and we're really focused on you and your mindset as you're helping your aging family members. So I'm supporting you, the family care provider.
Okay.
We don't always identify as caregivers, really. We just feel like, well, it's just my mom, it's just my grandma, my spouse.
Right.
But there are so many stages of that process from the very beginning when you start to feel like I maybe need to go to help with some lawn care or buy groceries, that sort of thing. And then it starts to snowball and evolve into doctor's appointments and it just becomes very consuming and overwhelming. So what I do is offer this 12-week program. We really focus on you, your mindset, the energy that you're bringing to the situation, and how can you have the skills and tools to communicate better, to really stay centered in what's important to you so you don't get caught up in all of the drama.
Right. And it's hard. I haven't quite gotten to that stage yet, but I've seen my parents kind of switch roles and turn into the caregivers for their parents. And that seems to be a very delicate kind of balance and kind of a really hard thing to navigate.
For sure, because as you're starting to notice things going on with them, you're starting to question them, you're starting to question yourself, and you're trying to start making decisions.
Right.
And it is a fragile balance because you want to be sure that the people that you're caring for have independence and autonomy and security, and that their health is cared for, and that they're safe in their environments. And they're adults.
Right.
So it's hard to step into that space where you are now having to make decisions for them. I mean, the ideal situation is that everybody's getting along, everybody's on the same page, we have agreement about what needs to happen next.
Right.
But that's not typically how things roll out. It tends to be a health crisis or a specific incident that happens where everybody's like, well, this is a huge red flag and I'm not sure what to do next. But it's very emotional.
Absolutely.
It's such a huge emotional roller coaster. So you want to feel like you have more control of things and you want to not have these massive swings in how you're feeling.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you also do, you provide coaching for caregivers, but you do also do some work directly with seniors themselves.
Yeah, so one of the programs that I am certified in, it's a conscious aging facilitator.
Okay.
And conscious aging really focuses on setting your intentions for how you're aging.
Okay.
And our thought processes that we've had about aging are not always serving us. It's really interesting. As I've learned and studied, I've discovered there's like this sense that I'm getting old that we start to have in our 30s.
Right.
We don't necessarily believe it, but it's
I can
there.
attest to that a little bit,
Yeah, and it's language that we use, and really that starts to set the platform for how we are actually aging. So conscious aging is a great program because it allows people to, again, focus on like, what can I control? And thinking about, well, is hearing aids, shifting your thoughts around using assistive devices.
Sure.
And like only 20% of people that need hearing aids actually wear them.
Wow.
But there's so much that how we're interacting with the world.
Right, and that's just because they think, oh, I don't really need them, or I don't want to have that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating because every time I'm presenting to a room full of people, we talk about, well, how old are you chronologically?
Right.
And then how many of you actually feel that age? And the majority of time, most of us do not feel our chronological age.
Sure, yeah.
So fascinating. So that circles us back to like setting intentions, controlling what you can, focusing on our thought processes, and then surrendering or shifting or transitioning where we need to. I asked one of our lead gerontologists in the city what the #1 obstacle is for aging for us? And she said, denial. And our focus is so much on anti-aging, but the reality is biologically,
there's no way to stop it.
We're aging, right? But so fighting against something and resisting something, it's so much more stressful than actually embracing it and celebrating it and leaning into it.
We love that. Well, what a great service, and just definitely necessary. You'll be giving that presentation to our group of seniors at NCAP here in the next few weeks, which we're really excited about. So very excited to see that in action. If someone is seeking these kinds of services, how would they get in touch with you?
My website is michelemagner.com.
Okay, and we'll put that up on the screen.
Perfect, because there's only one L in Michele, and Magner can trip people up.
Yes, we'll put it up there.
Magner.com. And then I'm across social media platforms at Michele Magner.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
And then if people are looking for ways to support you in your role, how could they do that? Are there ways for people to support?
Absolutely. I think the first thing that I would really encourage people to do is question everything that you are believing around aging and how you're caregiving for someone. I think that is the best way to support me, because it's really, this is the vision, the mission that I'm on, is to shift our thoughts around these things and just know there's a better way and there's an easier way. So just thinking through if there's something that's really triggering you or upsetting you, just questioning it would be the first way to support me. Okay. And then connect with me on social, because I'm on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and it's just helpful to have those connections.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. We could talk much longer, I'm sure, and we're very excited for your presentation and to hear all about it. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Where can you watch KPAO Community Television? You know, the channel with all of the local shows. If you live in the Omaha area, Cox Channel 22 HD is your place. If you prefer streaming, go to kpaoTVOmaha.org. And now, if you have the Apple TV box, grab our app and watch us there. KPAO on cable, streaming live, and now on Apple TV.
Welcome back to Community Action Now. I am Bryn Schimmel with Eastern Nebraska Community Action Partnership, and for the second half of the show today, we have another great community person here. We have James Teutschmann, who is on staff at Calvary Christian Church in Bellevue. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. But first, just tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I grew up here in the Omaha metro area. I grew up in Bellevue. My parents were stationed here from the military, got out and just kind of stayed. It's kind of, I feel like that's a lot of people in the Omaha metro. Yes. They're here for military and come and go.
Yep.
But so we stayed here, so I just grew up in the area. I left for college and studied business and Christian community development.
Okay.
And really thought I wanted to get into nonprofit work. I just always kind of loved that, and in general I'm pretty entrepreneurial by heart, and so just kind of I feel like I'm kind of a ping pong ball a little bit, a 7 on the Enneagram, so just always what can I do, what's new, and I just love finding ways to serve the community. And so then I found an opportunity to a lot of my jobs, I worked with you years and years ago as a day camp counselor for the Bellevue Public Schools, and we were talking about how incredibly fun that was, because we just hung out with kids and got paid a pretty good amount of money to just hang out with kids, and we loved it. But a lot of my jobs in the summer, I worked in Denver for a summer in the inner city work, helping kids catch up with language arts and math through Save Our Youth, which is a great organization. And then the next summer I went back and was a camp counselor through the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Denver. They have a camp up in the mountains, an hour west of Boulder.
Okay.
And so I kind of worked with kids, and it's kind of teaching them, kind of helping them have different life experiences they haven't had before. We take them rock climbing, rappelling, hiking mountains. And a lot of these kids, it's actually the first time they've ever been to the mountains. And so even with stuff like that, it's just kind of helping them build self-confidence and just kind of like serving kids. And so I think just at a young age, I was kind of exposed to just like need in the community, and sometimes need in the community is often hidden. And so, yeah, just like being a part of different organizations that help find need in seemingly places that there is like people are well off and you don't really think that there's much need in the community. But then having the opportunity to work with that, it just kind of helped to open my eyes to that possibility. And so then out of college I was a youth pastor at Calvary Christian Church, again working with youth and students, and I really, really loved it, but really my heart's always been for serving the community locally and globally. And so I stepped into the role, I oversee outreach at Calvary, and it's been awesome. And so essentially kind of what we've been doing, it's just kind of an overflow of what's been happening at Calvary for years.
Yeah.
And so when I started, the thing that enticed me to Calvary was they had some school partnerships and they wanted some help with kind of having conversations with principals, getting people connected, and finding out how to serve schools better. And so that really intrigued me. Like obviously the other piece did as well, but just from like my past experiences, but really like an opportunity to serve the community as well was really like, yeah, I think I'd love to give that a try. And so Calvary is a multi-site church, and they have different campuses, and each campus has different school partnerships. And so they serve some different schools, some in the Omaha Public Schools, Bellevue, and Papillion. So it's like 3 different school districts, and basically as each of them were operating independently, all of them basically had a different need of food insecurity of some sort. And so that's kind of where it started with a lot of our school partnerships. But really what it came down to was like, if we're doing basically little food things in all different areas, we should probably at some point just bring them together and help make the system a little more efficient, right? And so we did that. We put a pantry together and then started making it accessible to all the schools that we served. And we're like, well, at this point, we probably should just allow anyone in our community that needs it.
Sure.
And so that was kind of the initial thing that kind of started the Sarpy Care Center. So we started a separate nonprofit called the Sarpy Care Center. And so it's kind of under Calvary, but it is its own thing. And yeah, so we basically did that. And then from there it was like, well, what else can we do? So if we started with the fundamental of like trying to provide some food resource to schools. And so we're like, what else can we do? What else does our community need? And so as I met with principals and superintendents and director of elementary services for different school districts and just different people in the community trying to find out like what's the gaps in our community. We found out that hygiene products are one of them, diapers is one of them, and then even on the other end of like low-cost counseling options. There's not a lot of low-cost counseling options, and so we partner with a kind of a third-party organization called City Care Counseling. We provide them with space and some funding to kind of help low and no-cost counseling, and they work really, really well with us, and we love referring people to them. And so it kind of just started becoming like, well, what else can we do? What else can we add? And so the Care Center isn't something that specifically has a physical space. We share space with Calvary Christian Church and their multi-site locations. And then we also just serve the school districts as well.
Yeah. We're definitely going to come back to Sarpy Care Center.
Yeah,
but let's talk a little bit about the school partnerships.
Yeah.
So you're in several of the big districts in the metro. So Calvary does some work with OPS, Papillion, La Vista, and Bellevue. And talk about exactly what that looks like. So there is some food pantry services. What else do you guys do? I know there have been projects here and there that they just kind of come to you and say, hey, we need some help. So talk about some of the different projects that you've been able to do.
Yeah, and so to be a little more specific, the types of schools that we've partnered with inside of all of these school districts are ones that are Title IX schools. They're considered like low income. I believe 70% of the students are on free or reduced lunches.
Right.
And so a lot of the schools, they're just on a tight budget, and principals have to make decisions about what they're going to spend money on and what they're not going to.
Yeah.
And so some of our goal is to help free up either some things that they wish that they could do that maybe they don't have the funding to do, and allow them to do something else. And so at Carriage Hill Elementary a couple years ago, we basically paid for a library remodel. So we have some people that are like, skilled workers, carpenters type things that they like, they do a lot of that stuff professionally. And so they're like, yeah, we can come in, and we made some fun kid reading places and things like that, and just kind of made the space a little more like reader friendly. At Bryan Middle and High School, we basically fully funded their food pantry, so they have one on site for students, and we kind of we provide the food for that. We do some things for like sports teams in the summers. We do like Gatorades and granola bars for all the all the athletes and things like that. The Bellevue Public Schools, well, a lot of different schools, we do like coffee delivery. So it's just been a rough couple years for teachers, and I think we both would agree that like teachers are like they've been through the ringer, and it kind of feels like they just can't really catch a break with lots of things going on. And so we just want to like help do teacher appreciation, and a lot of schools don't have budgets for that.
Right. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so I know specifically, I think the Omaha Public Schools, they're not allowed to use budget for those types of things, and so we just try to find ways to serve them and work with the principal. And it's like a lot of that sometimes comes out of the principal's pocket, and so we partner with Scooter's Coffee, and we've done it with Hardy Coffee to be able to like get them snacks and stuff. So usually we've done it a couple times a year. Either it's where the night of parent-teacher conferences, we'll basically take all the drink orders for them, and then we'll come deliver it in the morning with some snacks and things like that. Yeah. It's just like things to kind of show them that we appreciate it. It's good that teachers look forward to like just little things like that of like we're having a coffee day coming up, you know. Right. And it's not obviously like the biggest thing in the world, but I think it's just reminding them that they matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, which is great. And we have like our kids ministry makes lots of little snack bags and treats things for them. We've done meals for parent-teacher conferences, like home cooked meals, so they don't have to like worry about what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so a lot of it has, the last few years, especially with COVID, and it has actually revolved a lot around teacher appreciation. Yeah. And it really just comes down to whatever the school asks us to do. We've done canned food drives, we've done expo marker drives to help, because like schools would be like, you'd be surprised the amount of money that our school spends on dry erase markers for all these different classrooms and stuff like that. So it's kind of, it really just comes down to whatever they ask us to do. Yeah. I don't really, as we meet and as our teams meet with different principals and stuff, we don't usually say, this is what we want to do. Right. It's really like, how can we serve you? What's like some of your biggest obstacles that you're facing in your school district or in your school specifically? How would you like us to help come alongside you and serve your staff, serve your families? And the Care Center has been a cool gap to be able to serve some of the most vulnerable families in those school districts, which has been incredible. Yeah, so the Sarpy Care Center, when did that start? Yeah, it probably started in September, I think about.
Last year?
Yeah, of last year.
So it's still fairly new.
Yeah, it's pretty new.
And that encompasses, there is the food pantry.
Yep, and that's on Tuesday nights from 5 to 6:30.
And that's located at Calvary.
Yeah, that's located at Calvary, Bellevue North.
So we'll put all this information up. I know that you guys partner with the Diaper Bank, the Life House.
Yeah, they just rebranded to the Diaper Bank, so now the Nebraska Diaper Bank.
Okay, good to know. I was ahead.
Yeah, you're ahead.
So food, diapers, and then the counseling. So talk a little bit about that. You guys partner with City Care Counseling, and they have some office space basically at
so we basically provide office spaces at the Calvary Bellevue location and the Shadow Lake location on 370 and 72nd Street. And so we basically provide them the space.
And these are licensed counselors?
Yep, they're licensed. Yes. They kind of do their own thing, and we basically just send referrals. And so we've kind of reached out to a bunch of the different schools and said, hey, if you have families, or if you have students that you think need counseling, obviously the schools have some counselors as well.
Absolutely.
But sometimes like their parents might not be able to utilize those services, or even people in our community, military. We're close to Offutt Air Force Base in Bellevue.
Yep.
And sometimes that's a taboo topic in the military world of feeling like, well, if I'm going to counseling, will people think I'm not mentally fit to do these things?
Right, yep.
And so it's just kind of, mental health's always been something that's not really like, it's always been uncomfortable for people to say like, yeah, I'm going to counseling, or I'm searching for counseling.
And it's a tough service area.
Yeah, it is.
As far as access and cost.
Mm-hmm. It costs especially, and I was just talking to a friend that lives, they're kind of living in some different areas, but they just moved to a different area, and they were trying to kind of get in, basically talk to a counselor, and they spoke to one place, and the wait list is for 2 years to get to talk to someone. And he's like moved from somewhere else. He's like, that's insane, right?
Yeah.
If you need to help some counseling services, and you have to be on a wait list for 2 years to even just talk to someone to find out exactly maybe a good plan of action moving forward, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And so we really just wanted to kind of, try to break some of that tabooness of the topic, but also just provide some low-cost options. And so they do some like group counseling options if you're looking for low-cost options. We're willing to pay for the first 4 sessions for anyone to go. And that's what City Care has identified as being a solid number to help kind of come up with a plan of action of like, hey, this is what we think is going on. We would love to kind of dive in a little more to some of these different things. But also, if we can go through 4, we think that we can help unpack some of the trauma or the things that maybe we haven't processed through well, right? They have like their own system for doing it.
Get you started.
So, and just kind of like help figure it out. And then from there, like, let's come up with a plan of moving forward, which has been great.
Well, that's amazing. You know, we love the Sarpy Care Center. It's been a really great resource, and we're excited to see it continue to grow. And to work with you guys, you know, however we can. So we're going to put all the information up. If you need services or if you're interested in any of this, we will put all the information up. There's also all the social media channels, as you know, the normal Calvary Christian Church, Facebook, and all of that. If people are interested in supporting the Sarpy Care Center, what are some ways that they could get involved with supporting you guys?
Yeah, so we are just completely community funded. We don't currently participate in any grant writing or anything like that, and so really it comes out of the generosity of the people that call Calvary Christian Church home, and some people that don't, that just like care about it and want to make it happen. And so there's a couple different ways to do that, but one thing I want to talk about is like kind of how it's funded. And so every year, for the last, I believe, 5 years, Calvary's done a thing at the end of the year, and we call it the Impact Fund. And all the money that we raise for the month of, it's usually mid-November through December, through Christmas time, all of it goes back to serving our community. And so we find different ways to impact people in our community, whether it's different organizations. I can think of like Release, which they do like some prison type stuff. We helped pay for a chaplain to get into the detention center in Douglas County. We've partnered with like just a ton of different like local organizations. We've done like Chariots for Hope for different things. I'm trying to like think of all the different ones, but we've served a lot of different people through that, and we basically like in talking with them like, what's something that you wish you could do that you can't do?
Right.
And so basically the Sarpy Care Center was able to kind of grow from what it has because of that generosity. And so this past year our goal was to raise about $225, and I think we raised about $370,000 for the month of December. And so all that money goes back to the community, goes back to the schools. And so if you give to the Sarpy Care Center, all of it goes back to the community in one way or another, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
And so you can go to sarpycare.org. You can find opportunities to do that. You can go to calvary.ch and you can give through there. There's a drop-down tab and you can choose the care center, I believe. So, and also like we if you're interested, you can go to sarpycare.org, go to our website, and you can just say that you're interested in volunteering and kind of partnering with us.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do little drives. Sometimes people just help bring food, and which is great. We partner with Fairway, and they help give us food at a discounted rate, which is pretty helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so people can kind of help, and there's like lots of different ways that you can find online to help serve us as well.
Awesome. Well, that is fantastic. Like I said, we're excited to see it grow and partner. It's just, we know that you guys are making a big impact, and obviously as a fellow nonprofit, we love that, and we love seeing what's going on and seeing all the growth and all the people that we can serve.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here and telling us about it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. All of the information will be up on the screen for how to get involved or how to get services, either through the Sarpy Care Center, through Michele Magner and Inspired Senior, and then there's always our resources, our website, our social media, and make sure that you come back next month for our next episode.